Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Rights to Live Creatively special issue launch of the Journal of Haitian Studies. We are live streaming thanks to the Haitian Studies Association and the Orphalea Center's tech support here in Black Studies at UCSB. I'm Dasha Chapman, and I'll be helping to welcome you and ground us in just a moment as everyone arrives. So please get comfortable and we will get started shortly. As folks are trickling in, I want to offer some deep thanks to UCSB Black Studies Department, the Mellon Interdisciplinary Humanities Fund, Professor Omisheke Natasha Tinsley and Jia Hu, who helped organize many details of this event, the Orphalea Center Initiative on Global Migration and Inequality, Global Studies, particularly Nadej Clitand, Hemispheric South's Research Initiative, particularly Stephanie Batiste, Religious Studies and Elizabeth Perez, the Multicultural Center, IHC Caribbean Studies Research Focus Group and Creative Critical, Kathy Thomas, Feminist Studies, Dean Charles Hale, and the Journal of Haitian Studies and Claudine Michel. So many people made this event possible and will be participating, and you'll get to know a lot of amazing individuals and collectives throughout our time together. I'm going to introduce Professor Omisheke Natasha Tinsley, who is chair of Black Studies and professor here, and we'll do a bit of grounding, but I want to just give a brief bio for Professor Tinsley, who is motivated by love for boundless Black femme creativity. And her research, I think many of the people that have gathered here today know Professor Tinsley's research, but it centers queer and feminist Caribbean and Black American performance and literature. Her award-winning texts include The Color Pink, Black Femme Art and Survival, Beyonce Information, Remixing Black Feminism, Ezilee's Mirrors, Black Queer Genders and the Work of the Imagination, and Thieving Sugar, Eroticism Between Women in Caribbean Literature. And Dr. Tinsley's work has been so formative for the work of this special issue and those of us in Haitian Studies who are invested in centering queer and feminist understandings and livings. And Tinsley's work has really been a prism showing what is possible through kaleidoscopic scholarship, artistry, writing, and conceptions of knowledge, the body, and spirit. So we're truly indebted to Professor Tinsley and thank her so much for making space for the Journal of Haitian Studies and this symposium and myself in Black Studies. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Tinsley to welcome you to the department and the event.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I can say bonsoir tout le monde. I'm not used to this camera, so forgive me. It's a little. There we go.
How about we use the laptop instead? It's easier.
Laptop?
Yeah.
Just unmute.
So you can see yourself.
No, I mean, oh, for the microphone.
I don't think.
Turn the camera around.
Do you need?
Yeah.
Let me do that. Yeah.
Here we go. You can use that on your computer.
Oh,
Here we go. Sorry. Yeah. So you can look at yourself.
okay.
And then with this mic.
I still get my little pretty fluffy mic. I'm Omi Tinsley. I'm chair of Black Studies, and I am really genuinely excited to be introducing this special issue launch, which is the first time that I can say the Journal of Haitian Studies is in the Department of Black Studies. And this is a huge source of joy for me that has been made possible by years and years and years of tireless, well, I don't want to say tireless because we all get tired, but endless devoted work by Dr. Claudine Michel and Nadège Critan and Rose and Dash and all that it's really been. As I was stopping by my office here, I've been thinking about this book, which and I found it on my shelf. I lived in a place called Austin, Texas. You may remember Dean. And I was writing, and I had like the Journal of Haitian Studies had this book. Should really have lots of marks, and I won't bore you with that. But
Yeah.
I read it, you know, and I in the beginning it talks
Audio
about
is
and
not working.
oh, sorry.
The mic is choppy. Yeah.
You shouldn't do it yourself. No, you would do.
Almost my grade.
It's always like that's jumping.
Should I mute my mic?
You should.
Oh. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Could you try again? I'm sorry.
How am I doing?
For the people online specifically.
Yeah, for this people on your line, is my mic choppy?
Better.
Better? Okay. So I had this book and I like, you can still see my notes in pink ink and my little, you know, back in the days before everything, when everything was online. And I had this, you know, because I'm a Piscean kind of double Pisces, Ocean, easy leaf kind of, I had this magical image in my mind of this place, UC Santa Barbara, and there's this wonderful Claudine Michel, and she writes about it, and like there's this COSAM, and it was a beacon for me. It really was a beacon for me, and I think you all are here because you know the Journal of Haitian Studies as a beacon, and I think it has been in ways that you all know, and I think ways that you don't know. And there have been obstacles in the path, but we already opened with Legba, right? And then obstacles clear. And I'm looking, I think that this special issue for to me, I'm looking forward to an era of Azili here, you know, all the Azili. And I was just talking to my longtime friend, Dr. Seville, who was stood up for me at my wedding. Lots of stories there, but Gabrielle was looking at this and saying, you know, I always think about Black studies as being a patriarchal space, but here it seems different. And I was like, yeah, here it is different. And I think that for me, when UC Santa Barbara has been known for a lot of things, I always knew it for Journal of Haitian Studies and COSAMBA. And so to me, it's always been a place of the rights to live creatively. So I'm deeply honored to be here in conversation with you all. Dasha, thank you so much for doing this. So much. I'm so glad that this is happening. It could not have happened without you. And the energy and wow, the intellectual potency that's in this room that yeah, I'm about to could knock me over, like is a testament to what you have been able to do, not just in your short time here at UC Santa Barbara, but in your career in bringing people together. So my most sincere thanks to you for today. As much as I love this puffy mic because it feels very girly, do I need to pass it to someone? Okay.
Thank you so much for grounding us in that reminder of the long history here of this work. Let me unpin. I think that was done. All right. Thank you. So just to continue what Dr. Tinsley was reminding us of and the work of the Journal of Haitian Studies, as well as this department and this amazing being next to me, Dr. Claudine Michel. I am humbled and honored and so pleased to welcome you all to this special issue launch that really has been a collective labor of love and heartbreak and endurance. It's been long in the making, and it's just the most recent iteration of work that many of us have been doing for a long time. And I've just been here to kind of help facilitate our gathering. But I do want to just share that it's felt so potent to center gender and sexuality in discussions, research, and engagements that we're doing to understand power and liberation from Haitian perspectives, which are ultimately perspectives we all have a lot to learn from and that can teach us about, more broadly, a more just world. And in that spirit, we're gathering this week in celebration of Haitian Flag Day, which was yesterday, May 18th. And UCSB has a long tradition of Haitian Flag Day, or Haitian Flag Week, I realized it was called, which is how previous symposia had named the celebration. And these events were started by Associate Professor of Global Studies, Nadège Cliquetant, in 2007, who's in the room with us. And Professor Clayton shared with me just earlier that she always hosted a scholar, an artist, and an activist on campus as part of the work. So I know it's been quite a few years that we've had Haiti Flag Weeks and celebrations here on campus, but we are activating that tradition once again, and in good company with scholars, artists, and activists who really actually inhabit those multiply and in many powerful ways. So I'm really grateful that we're able to be here in this moment. And I thank again the Haitian Studies Association for sharing this beyond campus with this webinar and all those who are helping make it happen. Haiti might feel very distant from Santa Barbara, but with the tireless efforts, as we just heard from Professor Emerita and former Chair of Black Studies, Claudie Michel, and other advocates like Professor Cliquetant, Haiti and Haitian Studies have had a long presence here. And the Journal of Haitian Studies has also been housed here and is newly supported by the Department of Black Studies. So I just wanted to share this too, marked on the journal cover. And this powerful alignment of Haiti and Black Studies at UCSB can also be celebrated with Haitian Flag Day and Fête Drapeau. And so I think a lot of people who are joining the webinar know this, but if anyone doesn't or those in the room, Fête Drapeau or Haitian Flag Day marks May 18th, 1803, when the Haitian flag was created on the cusp of Haiti's independence from French colonial rule. Leader Jean-Jacques Dessalines ripped the white out from the French flag, and his goddaughter, I think she's known as Catherine Flon, who was a skilled seamstress and who served as a nurse and caretaker of those injured during the revolution, stitched a new flag together. Flon's act of recombination visually represented a new world order. The blue and red stripes, now horizontal, tilted the axis of power and humanity so that the foundation of liberation was articulated through these colors, symbolizing the sacrifice, labor, and honor of Black and Indigenous peoples. The Haitian Revolution's principles of abolishing slavery and establishing a sovereign IET still beckon a world to come. When we examine the current state of Haiti and our larger global geopolitical circumstances premised on not only white supremacy, racial capitalism, and a rising tide of fascism, these systems' reliance on cis heteropatriarchal domination is at the core. And the need to attend to the gender sexual dimensions of liberation lie at the heart of our ongoing struggles. The summoning of Erzuli Dantor at the Bois Caïman ceremony that catalyzed the revolution hearkened this need, and she calls us still to account. Relatedly, May 17th marked the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. So we're still in that also honoring space. In Haiti, an event on this day in 2012 became an important moment for social movement organizing around homophobia and gender creative and queer people. And this gathering indicated a fraught yet potent coalescence of what is now often called the Communauté M, or M community, the dynamics of which Erin Durbin and Mamira Duje-Prosper trace in their research and we'll hear more about in our session today. All this is to say, we gather here at the conference and the confluence of many anniversaries, joyful remembrance, as well as painful ones. And I know that many people here are not only carrying pride for their ancestors, but also heartbreak and grief for personal, as well as collective losses, the scale and duration of which have been unbearably difficult to hold or really grapple with. So in our celebration, there is also mourning, giving honor and respect to all those who came before, seen and unseen, carving pathways for something better, and all those in the present making possible the rights to live creatively. So thank you for being here, and Aibobo. And in that spirit, I want to turn to Claudine Michel, who has a few words to share about the journal, its 30 years of existence, and then we'll really launch into the work of discussion.
Well, I think Dasha has spoken for me. She said so many things that I was going to say, so I'll shorten my remarks. Talking about ancestors, I do want to give some special words about Didier Dominique, a major Haitian activist who passed yesterday on the day of the flag, which was actually the anniversary of his wife. In Rachel Beauvoir Dominique, they are big, major, labor activists and supporters of, our local epistemologies and Vodou. So it's important to, remember Didier. A little bit of history about the journal. As you know, Haiti is so central to Black studies. We were probably the original Black Lives Matter, the original, Black radical tradition. So no need to go into that. We all know the history of the revolution and also the terms that they like to use to describe us. But there's much more to Haiti than that. And as Nadege Clinton has written a very powerful piece on Haiti's exceptionalism, and basically we are not an exception, okay? It is a colonial project. It is a neo-colonial endeavor that has created the conditions that Haiti has been living under. It is those oligarchs and the capitalist system, and it is the ugly class system of Haiti that has maintained the people. You can't hear me? No, in the kind of conditions that they are in. And basically, there are always solutions. And I think we don't need to continue saying, the chaos is unbearable. We need to really work towards solution and engagement and working with mutuality and the spirit of combat, which are also essential to the Haitian ethos. This is what we're about. The flag that Dasha mentioned, the national motto is L'Union fait la force. We need to return to that. And about 15 years ago, scholar Gina Ulysse talked about, wrote a book about Haiti needs new narratives. And basically, this is what this special, wonderful, amazing issue is about. Same thing with Kosamba, the space that we've created to really present from an emic perspective the kind of scholarship that we do. And Omi, you so kindly mentioned this book. And this book is very special, not because I was a small part of it, but because it's the first time that a collection was edited by Haitian scholars in the United States and published. So 13 Haitian scholars gathered here at Santa Barbara, and we decided to create an association to look at our own national religion. And we're preparing to have our 15th anniversary conference at Nova University. I see my sister Charlene Desir on the call. And it's good that I can't see all of you because I'd probably be thanking each one of you. So, but really a big collective thank you, because as we say, there's no religion, there's no God without worshipers. And basically, there's no Haitian Studies Association, no Kosamba, no journal without those of you who are sending the articles and joining in the path with us in terms of moving forward. So just to give a little bit of history of the journal, it is the 30th year anniversary. This is not a small matter. And I take the opportunity to thank Patrick Bellegarde-Smith, LeGrace Benson, Nadege Clinton, Rose Elfman, Alessandra Benedetti Koken, Marie-José Zengutayo, Jacques Pierre, who are the group of editors. We really, it's been a wonderful journal. A couple times the Radical History Review ranked us #1 in terms of Black Studies publication. But we come from humble beginning on this campus, okay? It was 2 issues were done. And again, I have to name the people: Carol Coates, Leslie Demang, Alix Cantave, Gerdes Fleurant, Marc Pou, who are the pioneer with Veve Clark, with whom Omi studied at UC Berkeley, and also Nadege, who created the association and had the vision for the journal. But they did 2 issues, but they could not sustain it. And actually, they asked Patrick Bellegarde-Smith to take on the journal. And Patrick said, I can't do that, but I know somebody who can. And the rest is history. And at the time, Dean Ed Doniston gave me $7,000. And, you know, and printing was expensive. Basically, I did the first 2 issues by myself. Then a student joined me, an undergraduate, was a first-year student, and she's here on campus, and it's Dr. Tara Jones, okay, who's director of DCRC, and she helped me with like 2 or 3 other issues. And then we were able to get enough funding from that $7,000 first money that we had, and the college helped us with getting a half-time managing editor, and the rest is history. And as Omi mentioned, we're not going to look at the past because we've had some obstacle recently, but we are delighted to be home in Black Studies. That's where we belong. Thank you, Omi, and thank you, Charlie, for making it possible. It's a big moment for us. And let me say a couple little things about, and if I didn't mention anything, like our reviewers are on the call, Dr. Cécile Axilien, Alisa Spenningswell, like, you know, Liza McAllister, like, please, you know that we are sending honneur, respect of Haiti to all of you for your contribution and for believing in our project. A few times, presses approached us, Sage, John Hopkins, and Indiana University Press, about taking on the journal, but we were sending copies of the journal to Haiti for free. And if we went to a press, that's not something that we could do, you know? And I know I mentioned Rose, but I cannot thank Rose enough. She's been with us now 15 years. And in 6 months, Rose learned the field. And she's a scholar of extraordinary scope and reach, you know. I tease her when I first started to learn her. I'm like, the only person I know who's like that is George Lipsitz, okay? But she's the quiet version. But we're so thankful to Rose. And Chris Yost did 10 years with us also, we acknowledge us, and Adam Kaiserman. So I think that's enough for the history. In terms of the particular importance of this journal, I think we have Dasha, Mamira, and Mario as co-editors. These are some of the most brilliant. They are what we call in Haiti, Marasatois. Marasa is twin. So the one after the Marasa is very powerful. So the Marasa twin. They are amazing scholars, activists, who really know how to do scholarship in a way that is forward-looking, and we could not be more grateful. And they did an issue in 2017 called Nous marcher ensemble. That says so much, okay? We work together, okay? So we're gonna not use the terms from the West to describe the kind of things that we're doing. And again, I, named my sister Cécile Axilien, was president of HSA for 2 years and who has supported us so much about, really using our indigenous terms. Carfu, which is the name of the Journal of Comparative Ethnic Studies that we've also created here. And that's such an important platform for inter-ethnic dialogues. Brassage, rassemblage, a term from Gina Eunice, combit, working together. What else? The laku, which is originally it was a compound, of, rural houses put together and people working together in the field and all that. But Laku has a all different meaning now, in terms of relational space that is mutually inclusive, where people co-create, where people support. And this is the fundamental Haitian ethos. And the chaos is horrible. What's happening is horrible, but that's our only salvation. The Laku and the Kombit are our only salvation. And we are choosing to make those spaces of exclusion places of inclusion and possibilities. And this is what this issue of the journal has done. And a little bit of history, I'm taking one more minute, on LGBTQA plus on campus here at UC Santa Barbara. Many of you may know or may not know that I was the first Black woman hired at UC Santa Barbara who became tenured. Beverly Tatum, who became president of Spelman College, was here before me, 4 years. There was another one, Calypso Atkins, who came for 2 years, but she couldn't cope with UCSB and left. But I was the first one hired and retained at UC Santa Barbara, and the second woman of color after Inez Talamantes, okay? So that was before the Department of Asian American Studies existed, before the Department of Feminist Studies. So it's a long history. And basically, the men were in there doing fantastic work with their publications. But in terms of presence with students, it was really Inez Talamantes and myself, okay? And for years, we carried the students, like those progressive students who are looking for other worlds. And basically, I was a witness at the first LGBTQ marriage on campus at Stork Plaza. So this has very special meaning for me. And also knowing the kind of homophobia in Haiti. And this is really a very special moment for me to have this publication. And I think all those notions, all those concepts that we've mentioned, you have really lived them, and as I just read a piece by Edwidge Natika, beautiful little piece as usual. But it's like we're not speaking for, we're speaking with, we're speaking in collaboration. So I really, really thank you for the extraordinary effort that went into this publication. I thank all our participants who believed in the project. And, it's not a small matter. And we decided to make it a, double issue for the 30th year. But it's a 400-page issue of absolutely a wonderful scholarship, worlds imagined of possibilities and resistance and bringing about changes and transformation, not only for Haiti, but for the wider world. So I thank all of you, and Dasha, special thank you for you, okay, for making all this possible.
Thank you so much. That was really moving. Dr. Michelle. So I just want to say one more brief thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to my co-editors to share their words about the editorial process, our vision, and then we're going to move through the contributors. Are folks seeing me? Okay, great. So you've heard this has been a lot of work and a lot of years in the making. I do want to just acknowledge another circular moment of the 2015 first gathering, which if you've shown up to any of our events or been involved, you know this story, but we gathered at Duke when Mario and I were brought together by the Loa, as we write, to be postdocs at the same time and had the opportunity to organize an event around this concept of nous marcher ensemble and gender and sexuality in Haiti, and the role of performance, the body expression. And Omi Tinsley was like at the top of our invite list, and we were really excited to bring her into conversation with us. And 10 years later, we're here now, you know, celebrating another iteration of that long effort that we've been collaborating on. So it feels really, really special again to be here. And I just want to say, just kind of to contextualize our entrance point for the issue, and then I'll pass it to Mario, that gender creative and same-sex loving people capaciously desiring Haitian life has long been archived in literary texts, arts, Vodou, and everyday family histories. But because of the stifling colonial imperial specter of Black hypersexuality, there was a kind of circumscribed gap in the scholarship about sexualities in Haiti and Haitian sexualities and gender expressions. Over the past 2 decades, though, it's been starting to be filled, and we're very much just in that group of folks working in that endeavor. But there was a kind of other specter on when one does seek scholarship around gender and sexuality that is often circumscribed as well by violence and reports on homophobia. And we were talking about this yesterday, and this was something that we were also noticing. So in our work, we are very cognizant of how the body is, yes, a site of these oppressions and violences being enacted, but it's also a space of maneuver, of expression, of pleasure, desire, artistry, and creative subjectivities. So we were really interested in centering the body, embodiment, and creativity as we think with folks doing that in the past, in the present, in the future, imagining toward other modes of being. And really kind of centering like pleasure, desire, and the body in that. So to do so, though, we began with an invocation. And this was something we also practiced in when we had a plenary at the HSA last fall. So I've brought the invocation that we scripted into the scripting sacred space, acknowledging the forces that are beyond us, with whom we walk and whom we call on. And so I'm going to turn it to Mario, and he will speak the invocation and then share some of his perspectives on the editorial process.
We're good? Yeah. No, this. And thank you so much, Tasha. I thank you for calling us Mahasai. That's such a powerful image for, and we need to also include Aaron, because Aaron was part of the first special issue, No Match Ensemble. So Josue and all those folks are part of it's a Mahasa 3, 5, 7, 8, 10. Right. So I love that these issues, but the way we are in the space is the dosu, dosa, dosex of the work we do. In this evocation, I say it's meant to remember people who have come before us, people who are in the room with us, people who have gone, and people who will succeed us. Azili, prete m poulet noir pou m fè magie an mache. Se ou k mache, se ou ki wè. Azili dantor prete m poulet noir, m bral fè magie an mache. Ay, adje. Ou prete m poulet noir, poule noir, pou fè magie an mache. Se ou k mache, se ou ki wè antor. Azuli, je te chante. Azili, maîtresse femme, femme ventre, femme sang, femme racine. Je te chante, Azili, pour qu'un jour toutes les femmes se lèvent les mains ouvertes pour semer l'espoir. Azili Dantor, Petro Queen, Guinea Queen, mother of the Haitian Revolution, warrior mother, protector of the dispossessed, nonconformist, and the M community. We call upon you to grace this sacred space, the sacred scripted space, to fill our thoughts, our prayers, our lives with your boundless power in these somber times. With reverence, we ask that you share your strength and might with your devoted children. Guide us, your children, as we labor to stitch together your severed tongue, to execute the strategies you laid forth as we commune with you, continuing the work you ignited at Wakaima. Hold us in your arm. We offer to you our stories, forged in flesh, blood, and spirit, a loving sacrifice worthy of your altar. Accept this humble offering, for we, the children of Haiti, seek your blessings and guidance in the name of our ancestors, contemporaries, and successors. Aibobo. I won't say too much because I'm in a place of exhaustion, and yes, the labor is really tiring. And today I was thinking like maybe it's when this is how voodoo dance and ceremonies happen. It's when you're exhausted that you feel the spirit and you speak langage and it comes out dense and opaque, and it's for the children to take whatever they get from it. So as part of the collective, when we were writing the special issue, we thought we needed something. We know that we were writing very structurally, very broadly about the scope of the field, the discipline, performance art, and we felt that it was broad. It was speaking from a beautiful place, from a top-down place. Whereas in the special issue, we made sure to include field notes, voices, personal voices, like the beautiful field notes by Charlene Desir, Elizabeth McAllister, Omi, the very personal stories where we name people. So I think the way I wrote this invocation, and I offered my own story because that is what loving sacrifice is, to put oneself out there, to make the personal as political, which is not only, it's Black feminist sort of might and power, but also this is how people see us, Haitians. And so the invocation in my personal story in there was sort of, to me, it was part of a call and response. The invocation was a beat, a heartbeat, and everything else was another heartbeat. So the call and response of it. And yeah, it's for me, I feel like the way that I wrote this invocation in my personal story and moving forward is like, we wanted to also think about how do we reconsider stories, refigure story? Yes, performance has critical difference, but critical difference might mean expanding, rethinking, renaming. And so, yeah, I wrote the story to Ezili Nota, but for me, I always feel like the Ezili that speaks to me is Ezili Mapiang. Like, I feel a lot of rage these days. And so, but it's loving rage. It's so rage because I want to help to change things right now in Haiti, but I don't know how to do it. And so in sisterhood with Ezili, because the Ezilis are sister selves avatars, I think I wrote from Ezili Mapianing to Ezili. For us to consider the everyday, the mundane possibilities, and to speak from a place of joy and pleasure, to speak about that. And so I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah. Bonsoir tout le monde. Aïe bobo. I can say unmute. What am I supposed to do? Hello, hello, hello. No la? No, not in them. Okay. We're talking about sexuality. Let's do it. Okay. What I would like to add is that there are many people that we were able to include and many we were not able to include because we've been working on this for 2 years, so a very long time. And in that process, there were quite a few folks on the Haiti end who were not able to make the deadlines for all the reasons that we know, especially those who were located in Port-au-Prince, right? And we tried to delay and delay in order to make room for that. And so some people were able to contribute and not others. I think this is something we address in the introduction, so folks who are reading the special issue altogether understand sort of heavy English language, aspect of the work, right? We also hope to be able to put a lot of this on a website that would eventually carry some translation, because what Dasha started to explain that in the beginning about the collective, right? That the idea is to make this scholarly work available for people in Haiti when they are trying to articulate, right, a political agenda or just need more work to be able to lean on in order to make whatever arguments they're trying to make. So that's part of what even brought this work. And for me, I typically study social movements, and it's been about what Dr. Claudine Michel said in terms of Gina Ulyss's call for new narratives, right? So if everything you get about Haiti is always that it's chaos and on fire, then I've been interested in, well, what are people doing, right? Different forms of combits or other world-making efforts, right, on the ground so that we can get a much more complicated picture of Haiti. And also to understand that the chaos is in response to all of this popular uprising that is happening in multiple collectivities that are bringing forth, right, making demands of the state and wanting to change society, right? So there's a reason the gangs have risen as this kind of force that is to counter several years, decades of people organizing on the ground for another version of Haiti. I think this work was also important to me because it's about my commitment to showcasing the strengths of Haitian feminism. Because when we look at the Communauté M mobilizing the work that they did on the ground to bring forth this newer, older identity, right? To politicize something that already existed, that they're building off of the work of feminists in Haiti for more than a century, but particularly the feminists, right, post Duvalier era, who had come and who were making sexuality something worth discussing and debating, right, in society. And I think one of the ways this work builds off of that is in what Dasha said also in the beginning, is to highlight that there is homophobia, there is sexual violence, but there's also people who are enjoying life, right, and making meaning out of what does exist. And that was important for me to capture in my piece, which really centers around the intellectual work of Charles Jeudi and producing and helping to produce this Communauté M identity in Haiti. And what I do in that work, and I'll just end there, is to situate the movement not only in highlighting the feminist history in Haiti and how Communauté M activists were building off of their strategies, their narratives, right, and offering something new, something, another dimension to think about, but it also the piece contextualizes the movement for sexual liberation in Haiti in relation to movement for sexual liberation throughout the Americas, right? And tries to tell the story, thinking about Haitian feminism's particularities, right? But also the movements for sexual liberation for the last, right, since the 70s, right? So thinking about that together and offering explanations for how the Communauté M movement organizations are organizing, what kind of strategies they're deploying, and to explain those strategies, right? Because often folks, you know, sort of leverage critiques that the movement is too liberal, right? Or the movement doesn't take on enough, right, economic critiques, right? And just trying to help us reread and understand that a claim for recognition is a claim for redistribution around those particular identities. So it is also a claim for economic redistribution, right? So those are the concerns of the article and the way that I approached it. And I wanted to say, working with two performance studies scholars as a social scientist has been a great experience and awakening to think about, even as I'm writing my own book, how to make it not so boring political science, because that's just my training and the things that move me, right? But this has been a great experience, and the attention that we all put together and ensuring that we had the artists, the activists, the academics, and that even within academic scholarship, we were thinking, you know, from literary scholars to anthropologists, that we tried to spread it, right? How do we think about sexuality from these different perspectives, and how do we represent them, right? Interpret them. So that's what I wanted to sort of offer, additional things that were not all said in the introduction that brought us to putting this work together. Yeah. You're following.
Thank you, Mamira. So Josue, would you like to go? Because I know you have to leave. So we are going to move through the issue as the contributors are ordered in the table of contents after we go to Josue Azor, who has been really also very central in our work since 2015. Amazing photographer and human, and I'm just turning it over to Josue, and I'll pull up your slide.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Et nous tendez-moi? Bon, m'a aller en créole jeudi. Et moi très content, moi là. Et très content partager avec nous. Et puis, moi, je voulais remercier nous tous contributeurs pour ça n'a fait, j'ai nous contribué, genre, à travers édition ça, oui, ça fait des années. Moi apprendre en pile, moi apprendre sur propre travail moi. Et puis moi ouais l'autre champ d'activité qui est très intéressant. Bah comme il a traduit pour moi, est-ce que moi parle trop vite? Bien trop. Est-ce que faut me prendre pause? Ou bien c'est simultané? Ah oui, it's working.
Yeah. But there, yeah, put the English for here. Oh.
It's okay?
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
It's okay. We're
Amen.
We're good. Yeah, we can hear you. And
Okay.
we can see the translation.
Should I take pause or
you're
just-
good.
Oh, okay. Donc, oui, qui ça m'a dit? Oui, m'a remercier nous avant tout pour le travail que nous faisons et puis pour lumière que nous mettons sous un pile aspect dans la société haïtienne, sexualité, culture, et etc., etc. Merci pour contribution nous. Si vous m'allez vite, pour nous parler de, au fait, et dans l'édition ça, il y a une conversation qui est publiée côté et Mario, Pierre-Michel Jean et moi-même, nous avons une conversation croisée. Et au fait, contexte conversation ça, c'est autour de célébration 10 ans collectif de dimensions qui sont collectifs artistes, photographes, vidéographes haïtiens mettez sous pied en octobre 2014. Et pour te célébrer 10 ans, nous t'ai organisé et une série d'activités dont Open Studio. Et ça a commencé avec Open Studio PAM. Côté, moi, t'ai ouvert la caille, moi, intimité pour moun vini, garder qui ça m'a fait, qui travaille, qui update tout. Et dans ça, nous t'ai aussi organisé une série de conversations, de rencontres pour justement échanger, parler. Des fois, vous faites en ligne parce que le contexte là, demandé ça et t'es en présentiel. Et c'est de là, donc, nous venons ouvert sous conversation que tu as gagné autour de travail moins et qui a un focus particulier sous monde et M, sous communauté M. Et nous continuons au fait, c'est un échange assez fluide et autant nous trouvé le relax, autant tout, moi j'étais content à prendre ou bien échange qui fait que nous pas forcément d'accord, mais nous capables de parler et nous capables d'entendre une l'autre. Donc, moi très, me sens son honneur pour moi tout, que il y a une restitution qui fait,
Josue,
oui.
Josue, pardon. We can't find translation. We're just trying to get English translation in this room.
Oh, so I can go in English, but I
No.
want it to be, you shall be like, I will be like warning after the
no, we're
words.
Dasha, just set the language to English on the computer that's being used in the room.
Don't they have AI now for these kind of things? Masking. Even though it's not good for the planet.
It's not good for the planet.
So let me go in English. It's okay. I mean, yeah, it's okay. So I'm introducing myself again. Yes, I'm Josue, and I live in Haiti. So I first want to thank all the contributors, especially Mario, Dasha, Mamira, Erin, Elizabeth, McAllister, and yeah, all of you. I wanted to say thank you for the work that you do, and also how helpful it is, not just for me, but helpful how I learn, I discover things that so it's very, very important work. So thank you very much. And so I'll go further to say I'm gonna talk about the conversation we have in that issue around the celebration on my work, but also around the celebration of the 10 years anniversary of the collective. It's a collective K2D, collective Deux Dimensions. It's a collective created back in October 2014, and we are around 15 photographers, videographers, artists, men and women. We had we created a magazine, a photo magazine named Photo Paclet, and we have a notable work, I would say, around the massacre of Casal, and this is a publication around memory. And this year, I mean last year, for the celebration of the 10 years anniversary of the collective, we organized an several open studios. We had 4 open studios. It began with me. We had an open studio with me, and my work is mostly, or a big part of my work is about the nightlife in Haiti, especially Port-au-Prince, and with focus on the queer community, and in Haiti we would say the communauté M, which means Makome, Massima Divine mix. And so the conversation we had was around my work, and also it was like I would say to shed light around other perspective as well. So what can I say about it? So we had like I was about 14 minutes good chat where we travel to what I do, my perception about body, sexuality, and as an Asian gay man living in Port-au-Prince, and also aware of the context, because the context is absolutely catastrophic, and how we do have the right, even though when it's possible, because some people would like to, but they don't have this opportunity to create. And we have the right to live or to have dignity. And so it goes around this. So our next, I would say for the collective, we are planning to have, for the 10th anniversary, to have a publication. So we will gather all the photographers and to show a selected work of during those past 10 years. Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. Next, we will have Sabine Lamour.
Have the English interpretation. Yeah. Do this for the room. And then
Bonsoir.
Then you would need to.
I'll just go out. I'll just go out with the computer.
You gotta go to.
I'm just gonna
you can't just click the volume down.
She's not able to.
it's just, well, I can't.
It doesn't work in yours?
But you can
Then we
black
can
out.
see everything.
Oh, that's right.
Can you see there?
Yes.
I'll be back.
I saw that, that's what
C'est bon, je peux commencer? Mon intervention est en français. C'est OK?
Pour moi, c'est bon.
OK, d'accord. Et je m'appelle Sabine Lamont, je suis militante féministe, sociologue et professeure à l'Université d'État d'Haïti.
Attends, Sabine, 2 secondes.
OK.
Can you hear me?
Oui, oui.
Ok, 2 secondes, Sabine. On est en train de voir si on peut faire en sorte que tout le monde vous entende. Ah ouais, ok.
OK.
Ok, vas-y, parfait.
D'accord. Je m'appelle Sabine Lamont, je suis militante féministe, sociologue et je suis professeure à l'Université d'État d'Haïti. Mon exposé porte sur la prostitution pendant l'occupation américaine et en Haïti en 1915, entre 1915 et 1934. Mon propos concerne l'analyse d'un dispositif de domination impériale au croisement du contrôle des corps, des sexualités et des hiérarchies raciales et sociales durant cette période. Je tiens aussi à remercier chaleureusement les éditeurs de ce numéro de m'avoir invité à y contribuer. Il s'agit d'un numéro historique, à mon avis, car il aborde de fond la question de la sexualité dans les études haïtiennes, un champ qui est peu, voire je dirais pas exploré malgré son importance centrale dans la compréhension des rapports de pouvoir, particulièrement en Haïti.
Apparemment, il faut aller moins vite.
Ok, d'accord. Et mon propos mon article propose une lecture critique de l'occupation états-unienne d'Haïti entre 1915 et 1934. J'examine la prostitution non comme une activité périphérique, mais comme une technologie centrale de l'impérialisme et de ce pays. En articulant genre, race, sexualité et pouvoir, j'avance que les corps des femmes caraïbéennes, particulièrement dominicaines et cubaines des classes populaires, furent régulés à travers des dispositifs militaires et symboliques durant cette période. Et cette régulation visait la reproduction de notre impérial et racialisé. Selon cet article, cette régulation ne fut pas accidentelle, mais plutôt structurelle. Elle inscrivait des logiques de l'occupation dans une économie sexuelle du pouvoir, où militarisation des rapports de pouvoir s'accompagne de sexualisation et de racialisation des corps. Et j'ai fait le choix de regarder cet aspect de l'occupation face à l'absence apparente de cette histoire dans les archives officielles. Et j'ai choisi de mobiliser, par exemple, une autrice comme Sadie Hartman en faisant une fabulation critique qui permet de penser avec et contre les archives. Je dis tout de suite que je ne suis pas historienne, je suis sociologue et j'ai regardé ça dans une perspective sociologique, même si la question de l'archive, c'est une question qui est traitée dans cet article-là. Et j'ai posé ces questions. Pourquoi certaines expériences, par exemple la prostitution coloniale, sont-elles absentes du récit de l'occupation américaine, alors que, de mon point de vue, la prostitution a occupé une place centrale dans la dynamique impériale? Et quelle violence cette absence recouvre-t-elle? Et quelle forme d'expérience contient-elle? Ma démarche propose d'abord une réflexion sur le silence, dans la lignée de mes travaux intérieurs, dont déjouer le silence. Le silence non pas comme absence ou vide, mais plutôt comme lieu de résonance des violences non dites, des subjectivités tues et des savoirs et expériences rendues illégitimes. Dans cet article, le silence a été mobilisé comme un outil méthodologique et politique parce qu'il m'a offert un espace possible d'intervention critique pour proposer des contre-récits. Contre-récits par rapport aux archives et de l'occupation. La mobilisation du silence est utilisé dans cet article comme espace de résonance de violence qui m'a permis de rompre avec l'illusion d'une archive neutre ou complète. Ainsi, dans cet article, le silence est une structure active du pouvoir et je l'aborde comme une modalité de répression des subjectivités et de production de l'effacement. C'est dans cette perspective aussi que j'ai utilisé la démarche spéculative en mobilisant le roman L'espace d'un ciment de Jacques-Stéphane Alexis. La figure de la Niña Estrelita, la protagoniste principale de ce roman, en tant que prostituée emblématique, m'a permis de faire émerger des logiques intimes de la domination qui échappent par exemple à la rationalité archivistique. La fiction est mobilisée dans mon article comme archive alternative. Un espace sensuel de mémoire pour reprendre Tinsley par exemple, où affect, corps et gestes révèlent des formes de connaissances qui généralement sont inaccessibles dans les sources officielles. Le personnage de la Niña est envisagé comme une figure heuristique qui permet d'articuler mémoire affective, archives corporelles et récits subalternes. Par le biais de cette fiction, il m'est devenu possible de déployer une histoire de la domination impériale et de rendre visibles des expériences et des savoirs qui échappent par exemple au protocole traditionnel de circulation des récits. En plaçant au centre de mes analyses les subjectivités marginalisées, mon article s'inscrit pleinement dans une tradition de pensée féministe noire et caraïbéenne qui généralement considère les corps subalternes comme des lieux de production de savoir. Et c'est là aussi que j'ai pu comprendre que la prostitution, c'est une perspective, un lieu d'inscription du pouvoir, mais aussi une scène de résistance, d'ambiguïté et qui nous permet de lire l'occupation sur une autre facette. Et pour faire ce travail, j'ai mobilisé l'histoire, la littérature et les épistémologies féministes. Bon, c'est aussi une invitation à décoloniser les modalités de production de savoir sociologique dans le contexte haïtien, en valorisant des formes non conventionnelles de narration et en réfléchissant aussi sur la place des corps, sur la place des affects, alliés au silence comme vecteur et comme manière de penser la société haïtienne. Et pour conclure, je dirais que mon article s'ancre dans une tradition, comme je l'ai déjà dit, de pensée féministe et à la fois noire et caraïbéenne, qui refuse la séparation entre théorie, expérience et mémoire incarnée. Ainsi, je propose de penser le social à partir de ces marges, de ces silences et de ces survivances. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup d'histoires qui circulent dans la société haïtienne de manière orale sur la question de la prostitution pendant l'occupation américaine, même si on n'a pas beaucoup les traces de cette histoire-là, on ne le retrouve pas dans les livres produits, dans les livres écrits sur l'occupation américaine. Et mon objectif était d'ouvrir une réflexion sur les récits effacés, les corps minorés et comment introduire des épistémologies alternatives et d'autres manières de faire la recherche dans le champ des études haïtiennes. Je propose, et bon, c'est très ambitieux, je le sais, mais ce travail m'a permis de proposer une lecture critique de l'impérialisme, des imaginaires sexuels en Haïti, en passant par la littérature sensuelle et des méthodologies spéculatives comme méthode pour produire de la connaissance. Merci beaucoup.
Are you ready for me? I can't hear any.
Erin Durbin.
Yes, hi.
One second.
Okay.
All right. Could you speak again?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Passing it to you, friend.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Durbin. As a visual description really quickly, I'm a white person with short brown hair and glasses with a really colorful top on, and I'm sitting in my home office for this event today. My contribution to the issue that everybody's been talking about is on the screen, the title is The Afterlives of Global LGBT Human Rights in Haiti, Racial Capitalism and Accumulation by Documentation. By the time Dasha and Mario and Mamira were putting together this journal issue, I had not been doing research in Haiti for quite a while, and I wasn't sure if there was something to contribute, but what became this article was originally meant to be in my book, The Sexual Politics of Empire, Post-Colonial Homophobia in Haiti. It was included as a chapter after the final chapter, which is about the emergence of a social movement against homophobia, which in the beginning, Dasha mentioned the big event convening at the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia. And so this was like, the research for this article came in the years after that when foreign organizations sort of decided as a priority, foreign to Haiti organizations decided as a priority that they were going to do human rights documentation programs. Some of the programs there were 4 African countries that piloted software, and then Haiti was also selected to document homophobia as a social problem. So at the time this was happening, I was completing ethnographic research in Haiti. I was primarily working with gender creative and same-sex desiring Haitians and documenting the impact of US imperialist discourse and sort of the material conditions of foreign intervention on forming a social movement and addressing homophobia, the conditions of homophobia on the ground. And so I knew about this project as it was happening, but then a lot of the actual trying to get this project off the ground to actually document homophobia was when I was busy having a baby. And then writing my dissertation. So this was an interesting kind of method for me where instead of being on the ground and having the experiential piece of it, I was actually, I did interviews with people about the process afterwards, and I tried to trace how Haitian activists were actually using documentation as I did research again in Haiti in like 2015, 2016. And I think, the story of this is really in line with the rest of the work in my book, which is that the intervention to do this documentation that was supported by the State Department as a priority and the US State Department and these organizations is that ultimately all the money from all these efforts went back into US businesses and nonprofits. In the meantime, it became like another story of like a failed project in Haiti. And I was interested in the money, in how, that this had not really sort of worked from the ground up, thinking about priorities of Haitian activists, but then also like what happens with that failed project? What kind of work does it do? How does it produce a social problem in Haiti, or multiple social problems? And so I feel like it's really complementary to the other work, though it really does shift in focus in terms of thinking about the backgrounds of US organizations that were doing this work and who had a hand in it. Yeah, what else? I think that's good. I also there's 5 minutes, I'm trying to keep to 5 minutes, but I also I really appreciate the shout out earlier and to be invited today and to be included in this issue. I think this is just a really important gathering that you have pulled us all together again, and I'm excited to listen to the other contributors.
Thank you. Woo. Who's next? Is it Carlo? Let's get you on the screen.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
How come I don't think I can spotlight you if you're not
No.
on a video.
Here we go.
There we go. And here, use this.
Okay, great. Let's do it. Let's unmute your microphone. I don't have to unmute my microphone, right? Perfect. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Carlo Charles. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much to the guest editors. I'm very touched when Maria was talking about how many people weren't able to finish their pieces on time, and I was one of those. I missed so many deadlines. I'm so grateful to you guys for having given me the space to still contribute to that. I was in the process of finishing my dissertation, defending, and then moving from Paris to Windsor, Ontario, starting a new job, getting used to the institution. I was exhausted. But at the same time, I really wanted to contribute to this special issue because I know how important that is for Haitian studies, for understanding, non-conforming gender identities and then non-heteronormative sexuality in Haiti. So thank you so much. Okay, so I'm gonna go brief very quickly. I'm just gonna put my my timer so I don't go over time. So I wrote a piece, and again, I really want to give a shout out to Claudine Michel and then the Journal of Haitian Studies. Just one word, I'm probably gonna repeat that tomorrow. But the Journal of Haitian Studies, when I started doing my PhD dissertation, my PhD thesis, that was back in 2019, and I decided to shift the focus from what I was studying, which was asylum seekers, the integration of asylum seekers in Canada and the US and France. And then I wanted to study sexuality mainly because I was on that journey of self-discovery and coming out. I did not find almost anything about Haitian sexuality from a very humanity or social science perspective. There was some research on the arts of, like Haitian queer sexuality in the arts, but not necessarily research that was grounded in the experience of those people in Haiti. So then I was like, okay, there's probably only one place I can find those. That was the Journal of Haitian Studies. So then I just clicked and then I found a few articles. So I was like, oh my God, thank God. And then the Journal of Haitian Studies led me to the special issue, the Marché Ensemble. that you co-edited with Erin Durbin, and that was for me the beginning of my research. So everything that I think I've become over the past few years have been thanks to you. So I'm very grateful. I wanted to say that. Okay, so my piece is about the perception of queer transnational migrants as they're being seen now as importers of homosexuality into Haiti. So I wrote this piece really after going to Atlanta to the Haitian Studies Association conference, and I was part of this working group conversation. And then I think, Dasha, you mentioned the special issue. I was like, oh my God, I want to write something about this. And then I took a little part of my doctoral research, I converted it into an article. And then so that's the piece that I ended up writing. So the piece is really about a new discourse that I was hearing when I went to the field in Haiti in 2020 in November. And the discourse was, oh, thank you. Sorry. The discourse was interesting to me because a lot of people were very grateful for the kind of money transfers, economic remittances that Haitian migrants they were sending to Haiti, which obviously help many Haitians survive poverty and then find money to just pay school, medication, and all of that. But at the same time, there was this discourse about, oh my God, those Haitians, they're sending money, but they're also bringing a lot of bad mess, so bad mores to Haiti. And those people, they're corrupting our kids, they're corrupting our families, they're bringing guns to Haiti. And some of that is true, let's be realistic, right? But for me, that was interesting. And then I was like, oh, wow, I have to find a way to just work that into my dissertation. So that was just a few pages, my dissertation. And then I wanted to expand it in that for the special issue. So this discourse has three contributions and my work in general on Haitian queer migration and queer sexuality. The first contribution for me is really to the Haitian migration and Haitian diaspora studies. Generally, when we read about Haitian migration and Haitian diaspora, we really read about poverty, right? That's the first thing we read about. Okay, those poor people, they live in Haiti because Haiti is hell, there is no money, there's no job, and then they go to the US or to other countries to be able to find money to take care of themselves and their family members. We also read about race, how Black Haitians, they're being marginalized in cities like Miami or in Latin America or in Canada and Montreal. We also read about the North-South divide, how the restructuring of the global economy contributes to countries like Haiti that are very poor. People cannot find a job. People cannot leave. They absolutely need to leave to go to the North, global North countries in order for them to succeed. And also, one of the things that has pervaded Haitian migration studies over the past 15 years has been really the difficulty to access legal permanent status across the world. So we have seen Haitians struggling to get a visa, to get a permanent residency, to get just citizenship in so many countries. So that has been well documented. So my work contributes to that, but also my work expands that. Because then what I do, I'm saying all of that is true, but then when we bring sexuality and gender into that, specifically of queer migrants, so people who identify as LGBTQ, oops, sorry, that was me being overexcited. It's a blessing. That's a blessing of the Lord. Sorry about that. Okay, while we're cleaning up my mess, I'm gonna continue. So I really wanted to bring the perspective of the gender and sexuality into Haitian migration and diaspora study. So while I'm saying that all of the things that I listed, poverty, race, etc., is true, then I need to find out how do people who are non-heterosexual, who are non-conforming, migrants and non-migrants, they maintain relationships, right? And how they maintain relationships across national borders. For example, one partner lives in Haiti, the other partner lives in the US or in Canada, in France, in Brazil. What do they do? So that brings me to the second contribution, which is the field of transnational migration. The field of transnational migration, for those of you who may not be aware of it, started with Haitians in the United States. So one of the first people who established that field in the 1990s, that was Nina Schiller-Glick. She used studies of Haitian migrants living in New York and other parts to really conceptualize this field that has become massive. And this is one of the biggest fields now in migration studies, but in sociology. So whenever I go to a sociology conference, most of the research is about transnational something. And that is based on Haitians that were studied by Nina Xtilo-Glick, but also by Emmanuel Fouron, Emmanuel Georges Fouron, and then by other people like Jackson Regine, Edric Audbert, Steve Laguerre, etc. And then by people a little bit more established, Alejandro Portes. So what these people in common they have is that all of them, they focus on the kind of circulation of money, but also circulation of strategies, skills, ideas across national borders. So then how do we move, how do we send money from the US to Haiti? Do we send ideas from Canada to Haiti? But also how do migrants, they contribute to democratic movements and to politics in the homelands? And then again, just to remind you, all of that was based on Haiti. To start off in the 1990s. So my work expands also this field in the way that for the first time in my transnational migration studies, I'm doing what Haitian queer migrants do. So how do they contribute to the economic remittances, to the social remittances, to the political remittances? And the last one, I'm gonna finish with that, is sexuality studies. I talked about sexuality studies. So in Haiti, I was born and I grew up in Cap-Haïtien. And whenever there was a discussion about queerness, it was, c'était un objet de moquerie, c'était une risée. That was just, how do we say that in English? I'm thinking in French as I'm saying Haiti, but people were mocking any kind of conversation about queer sexuality. And then some of the very important moments happen in Haitian history. With the documentary, The Judaism of God and of Man. And then that really changed the perception of queer sexuality that we had of Haiti. So that was one of the pivotal moments. Then we started having a few other research related to health about queer sexuality. For example, what, with the AIDS epidemics, what's happening, and then how that shapes how we see queer people in Haiti. So what I saw is that most of these studies, usually they tend to focus on Port-au-Prince, on what's happening in Port-au-Prince or what's happening in Jacmel. They did not focus too much on what's happening in the north of Haiti. So then I really wanted my research to focus on Cap-Haïtien and then to really bring that different perspective of Cap-Haïtien to queer sexuality studies in Haiti. And then the last contribution is that my research also, this paper, but also my research in general, really brings that perspective of what's happening in those transnational relationships when we focus on people in a very small, poor country. How does that contribute to our understanding of sexuality globally, right? So Erin Durbin talks a lot in the work about the LGBTQI movement, the international LGBTQ movement globally. And then that takes the perspective of the institutions, right? What they do. So in my work, I really wanted to go 360 degrees and focus on people just in the intimate relationships. So when we're talking about two men who are in a relationship, one lives in Haiti, the other one lives in the diaspora, what does that say about sexuality? What does that say about money? What does that say about society? And what does that say about how we understand our own nationhood? Right? A lot of those relationships, they're also about a way for Haitians overseas to support Haitians in Haiti. I'm going to end with that. If you have any questions, happy to talk later.
Beautiful. Who is next? So the next section we call dialogic knowledge production because there's pairings and conversations of many kinds. We have some folks who are not with us, but we'll move to Gabrielle Marie-Jean-Louis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Jean-Louis, and I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Miami. I want to begin by thanking the editors for working so closely with me on this contribution and including my work in this issue, of course. And I also want to thank my scholarly community and Rodi Jean-Louis, who's an amazing visual artist, and he's here with me today. So about the work, the process of writing this article was particularly exciting for me. I was drawn to both Mila Constant and Noeline Pierre's engagement with Haitian spirituality in their work. And reimagining Haitian spirituality and Eurocentric religious iconography appear to be a point of convergence between these two artists, despite their generational and geographical differences. Not only Pierre asks, what would life be without dreams and possibilities and fantasy? What would life be without making the unimaginable the imaginable? And I use that as an epigraph for the essay. So in the essay, I explore the urgency and ethical imperatives underscored by her line of inquiry, as I see both Pierre and Constant engaging with what Regine Michelle Jean Charles, shout out to her, what she describes as the ethical imagination. Her theoretical framework foregrounds how the imaginative writing and artistic practices of Haitian women are deeply personal, and yet also maintain social and political significance to broader feminist concerns, such as gender equality, overlapping systems of oppression, sexual liberation, and environmentalism, as we've been discussing today. Constant and Pierre engage their ethical imagination and self-possession in ways that reflect their generational and geographical positionings. In the essay, I explore how Constant's portrayal of Aida Weto as the unimaginable, a Black woman, reflects her feminist ethos, particularly at the start of her art career, where she challenged economic exploitation and claimed full autonomy of the practical skills learned while working at a wedding dress factory. So in the piece, Dambala Aida La Flambeau Negre Arc Silfil, she challenges traditional interpretations of racial and gendered hierarchies within Vodou iconography. Viewers, practitioners, and enthusiasts alike were all quite familiar with Aida's identity being subsumed by her partner, Dambala. And even while I was researching for this essay, it was very difficult to locate a description of Aida that did not center on her relation to Dambala as his divine mate. So
Gabrielle, could you please slow down just a little?
Sure.
Thank you.
And so Constance's visual narrative of Aida, depicting her as an elaborate Black woman and serpent, encourages her viewers to understand Aida as an autonomous spirit, reflecting a burgeoning feminist ethos aligned with Constance's art career and her spiritual journey. Similarly, in Close Quarters, this is Pierre's work that you also see on the flyer for this event. Pierre inserts herself into her work and reimagines intimate connections to the spirits through an otherworldly iconography that bellies hegemonic racial, religious, gendered hierarchies. And in doing so, she challenges the centrality of Eurocentric artistic, religious, and neocolonial conventions. So incorporating her ethnic and religious background as a Haitian American into her ethical imagination, she introduces her viewers to an alternative realm in which the mortal beings and the spirits are not bound by patriarchal orders. So instead, Pierre reimagines dominant religious iconography to center femininity, intimacy, and agency as a queer resource of Black survival. Which leads me to my contribution in the essay itself. Their religious and ethereal imagery encourage their viewers to immerse themselves into their worlds, their unique vantage point, and I call this their Haitian feminist gaze. Gaze evokes a line of inquiry or critical thought intended to challenge how the female body is depicted or objectified, formed by male viewers, but in this instance, I'm in conversation with Tina Camp's Black Gaze to put forth how Haitian and Haitian American creatives are insisting that we see the work on their own terms. It's a tool for reading Haitian women's artwork with a Black arts tradition that is invested in not only promoting the visibility of Black cultural production, but also supplying viewers and readers with the necessary tools for interpreting such works when viewed within the Western art world. A Haitian feminist gaze prompts such viewers to reassess assumed perspectives on Haiti, Haitian religion, and religious iconography, and foregrounds how this work is validating for internal viewers, for Haitian women and alike. Ultimately, it calls on viewers, readers, and listeners to engage with Haitian women creatives, their worlds where imagination is feminist praxis, for envisioning spaces in which Haitian women can fully see and recognize themselves. So to conclude, I do hope you enjoy reading this work as well as the entire special issue if you haven't done so already, and especially if you're interested in Mirla Constant and Noeline Pierre's work. I continue engaging their work as I develop additional essays, but primarily in my dissertation, Black Feminist Cosmologies, where I'm currently exploring the intersections of Haitian religion, feminism, and geographic struggles in Haitian American literature, visual culture, and digital culture. And I'll leave it right there. Thank you.
Fabulous. And we're all enamored with that image that you so beautifully move us through. So we're all gonna go check out Nodeline Pierre's work as well. So next we have Nadege Green, moving through Miami as well. Let me get you. Why is that not there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, representing for the Miami Haitians. So my contribution, or I should say our contribution, my co-author, Vanessa Charlot, could not be here with us, but she sends her regards. Vanessa is an assistant professor at the School of Journalism at the University of Mississippi. And she's also a Miami-born and raised first-generation American of Haitian descent, like myself. And both of us are Black queer women from Miami who are creatives. I am the founder of a public history and creative studio called Black Miami-Dade that centers and uplifts Miami's Black history. And I commissioned Vanessa to take photographs of Black queer folks over the age of 45 for an exhibit that Black Miami-Dade put on. And as the lead curator and researcher, and Vanessa as one of the key photographers for the exhibit, we co-created this article entitled Haitian Daughters of Memory, Queer Storytelling in Miami, which was our offering to this edition. And in it, really, the work of this exhibit was about making sure that these stories are visible. In the history of queer Miami, there aren't any Black stories to find in any sort of public history facing work, or even in most of the novels or research that have been done about queer history in Miami. The white is silent. Maybe if you peek, you might see a Black drag queen in a photo, or there might be some obscure reference to Black folks, but you don't get to see the interior of Black queer lives in Miami. And so this exhibit was in response to that vast silence in the public history, though the archives were not silent, and certainly through oral histories, that history was not silent. And so in this piece, we talk about what it means to be Black queer memory workers in the Deep South. Despite the stories Miami tell about itself, it is in fact the Deep South. And the intersections of being in the Deep South as Black queer memory workers and as being first-generation Americans of Haitian descent, and how our ancestral lineage also informs how we come into the work and how we see this work. So the exhibit was placed specifically in Little Haiti in an art gallery. When we think about Black memory in Miami, it is a memory that is constantly being erased. And one way that is consistently being erased is through displacement. And Little Haiti is one of the fastest gentrifying communities in Miami. And so hosting the exhibit in this space specifically was also a note on memory and placemaking. And the title, Give Them Their Flowers, is a title that, is something that we hear often from Black elders, whether you're Haitian, American, or someone else, right? Don't wait until I'm dead to give me my flowers. And so symbolically and quite literally, because the oral history portion of the exhibit and the photographs were living memory, where individuals, Black queer individuals of all different backgrounds, were placed in places that they wanted to be photographed in, and were quite literally inserted into the landscape of the community. Some of the photos were taken on a sidewalk or a beloved garden. And some of those images are present in our piece as well. One of the really key parts of the exhibit is an altar space. It was called the repast, and it is the space that you think about when someone passes away after the funeral. Like, where do you go? It's the repast. In the repast space, we commissioned Lonnie Johnson, who is a Miami artist who works around Black memory, to create this altar space in memory of Black queer folks that we have lost. And it is often in this space that we really saw the Haitianness come out in the community, because there was a memory book in which we invited folks to write their own memories of Black queer loved ones who are no longer with us. And being that this was in Little Haiti, so many folks came in through the space that was of Haitian descent. In the memory book, there are several entries, and now what has become its own archive of Black queer memory in Miami that never existed before, where people wrote loved letters to loved ones who have passed away, who were queer, and many of them were Haitian. There was one note in the exhibit memory book that says, "You were one of the first to openly criticize the socioeconomic conditions of the youth under the Duvalier regime. For all that we loved you, but we together as a society silenced the expression of your sexuality." The person didn't name who they were talking about, but it was a love note to someone of Haitian descent who had passed away, who maybe did not get their flowers while living because they were queer. Another person honored their mom, who they called a Creole queen, who was queer. And the note read, "You mean the absolute most to me. I'll love and honor you forever." And another person wrote in Creole to a queer loved one, "Au revoir, Ezili Gadeu." And so part of this work and in our offering for this issue was really thinking about, what does it look like when Black queer memory workers invite you to remember? And what is remembrance in a space like Little Haiti? One of the key moments, and it's how we open our piece, is about a Haitian elder who walks through the space who's in her 70s. And when she gets to the memory space, she's in full-on tears because she was remembering her uncle in Haiti, who was gay. And she also remembered her own upbringing as a very carrée young woman who was accused of being a lesbian at a very, like in her teens, because of the way she moved, right? And so as we think about what it means to be Black, queer, Haitian in the South and in Miami, this piece was also really pulling back layers around, like, what does it mean to remember? Who do we get to remember? A lot of the research that supported the exhibit came from archival collections that came from the Bahamas or Jamaica that are now part of my personal collection through estate sales. And so it's also the fugitivity of our things. These aren't items that you would find in, let's say, a History Miami or traditional institutions, because so much of our history is through the oral storytelling and histories, right? It is through those intimate connections that someone would open up to share their story. And it is by invitation that we are able to get many Black queer stories, in particular within a Haitian context. It is an invitation that honors who we are. It is an invitation through honoring our dead and our living. And this was a space in which both of those things coalesced. And again, this is a multimedia submission that also includes photos from the exhibit. And I will stop there.
Thank you. It's so beautiful. Next, is Nike here? No. Next is Ryan. Ryan Joyce.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, bonsoir.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, and sorry again.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's wonderful to see everybody. And merci en pile à Mamira, Dasha, et Mario, et puis Journal of Haitian Studies as well. It's an honor to be in conversation and in communion with everyone here. So basically, I know we have limited time, so I'm really going to zoom through some of the inspiration behind my piece, and then just briefly talk about nocturnal marronage. So I am very inspired by the work of everybody here and everybody's contributions. And as I was working on this, I was thinking really particularly about the work of people like C. Riley Snorton, Omasheke, Natasha Tinsley, thinking about gender and sexuality in the Caribbean in Haitian context, not as a binary system of classification, but as a territory of cultural and political maneuver. And in particular, thinking about the queerness of Haiti and the queerness of the Caribbean. I am also inspired, of course, by the work of Josué, the tremendously powerful photographs of Josué Azor. And in particular, I was drawn to Josué's Noctambule series, as many of us are. And something that Josué actually articulates in this particular collection, but I think has also articulated elsewhere, is that Josué, and this is a quote from the interview, was quote, drawn to the tension of the night. And so I think when I was thinking about Nocturnal Marinage, I'm really thinking about the tension of the night as a site of both prohibition and possibility. And so my work and my analysis in this specific piece is really in direct response to Josué's work. And in a broader sense, I am thinking about Marinage as sort of a form of freedom from social confinement to ideas and spaces of freedom. And that's of course, thinking about the work of people like Celeste Winston and Neil Roberts and many others. I am very inspired by Dasha and Mario Mamira's introduction to this special issue, in which they say that the Haitian Revolution was already a coalitional Black feminist queer decolonial project. In this essay, in my essay, I'm thinking about Marronage as a site of queerness, and thinking about how queer Marronage is involved in the work of epistemology and epistemic reparation, more directly. So in this particular article, I'm thinking about the night as a pivotal force in Marronage and Vaudou, a pivotal and transformational force, I should say. And so I'm looking at some of Josué's photographs alongside a novel by Jean Oufel-Misset, L'Alphabet des Nuits. And I contend in this piece that the night is a vital yet dark space of resistance and creation. And nocturnal marinage is a practice of fugitivity through which people, groups, collectives, communities form networks that emerge from the darkness of the night. So I contend here that nocturnal marinage is not just a mode of flight that happens at night, but it activates the night, and it activates and leverages the night's powers of protection and possibility. So that's what I was interested in exploring in this piece, and I will end there. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ryan. So next we have field notes. Omi, did you want to? Okay. Which has a beautiful contribution by Dr. Tinsley, but you'll have to read it to learn more about it. And so next we'll have Professor Elizabeth McAllister, who will share a bit.
Hello, everybody. Oh dear, how can I?
Can
I'm working on unmuting
your video?
my video, but I don't see how. Oh, maybe you guys can do it. Bonsoir tout le monde. Pendant ce temps, m'a parlé
Can't. Oh, there we go.
pour me dire bonsoir. I'm content with tout le monde. I'm so happy to see everyone. And I'm sitting in front of a tableau of Schneider Hilaire, who is a rising star in Haitian painting. He works in Pétionville, and he just had a fantastic exhibition at the Cavan Morris Gallery in Lower Manhattan. And many of his pieces are related to the mystère and the mysteries and heritage of Haitian culture. In this piece, which I had the incredible fortune to buy from him, I see this as a series of question marks. I see this as Ézilie offering a ring. In my mind, it's called réclamer or réclamation, because the spirit, probably Ézilie, judging by the pink ring, is offering to this baby a ring. And we don't know really if the baby is accepting it, holding out her hand to accept it, or holding out her hand to say no. And I just think he is an extraordinary artist. So let me see if I can pop my head in the other corner, because I don't want to obscure this amazing artwork. Anyway, I won't say much. I just want to thank everyone for being in this collectivity. And really, my piece was a reflection on, as I say, 3 decades of fieldwork in Haiti and on queer women, not on, but around queer women in Haiti and in the Haitian diaspora. But when I did the math the other day, I realized it's 4 decades. It was 41 years ago under Jean-Claude Duvalier, when I was in college at Vassar, that I went to Haiti for the first time. And I was a reverse diaspora, because I went back with my drumming teacher with a group of guys, and back to Haiti with him to learn more about drumming and see the culture that he was so vibrantly teaching us about in Brooklyn. So it's not that important of a piece. It's a memoir and it's a reflection, but really the punchline or the main point of the piece is that it was not possible to do research or talk about about queer lives or living creatively. Massissi, ma divine, c'était pas possible. And I was even told, please do not write about this. So I'm just, even as Haiti is unspeakably difficult and obscenely difficult right now, and what the foreign powers are doing to Haiti, this one little aspect of it's more possible to speak and to live different lives in Haiti and the diaspora now. The other thing I want to just flag for people's attention is that, and I put it in the chat, there's been a collective project to work on archiving, creating a visual cyber archive of a peristyle in Grand Bel Air, Temple Narrivé. I think some of you have probably been there. We got money from a bunch of people, including Princeton and the new Crossroads Project. So it's in French, but as Josue said, there is AI to translate it into English. And it's a beautiful website. A lot of labor of love on the part of students at the Bureau d'Ethnologie went into creating it. And I hope everyone will take a little bit of a look when they can. Linda Francois does a beautiful dance attached to the beginning of the website. So I'm just going to stop here. En pile l'amour, en pile courage. Aïe bobo pour tout le monde. Allô Claudine. I love everyone, and I'll end here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liza. So our last Our last formal sharing will be Charlene Desir, Mambo Dr. Charlene Desir. And after this, we will open up for some conversation. I know technically originally we said we were 2 to 4, but we internally shared that we would be going through 2 to 5 for conversation. So we invite everyone to stay with us and have some actual dialogue after we hear from Charlene Desir.
Greetings, everyone. Honneur, respect. Going last is a privilege. I had the opportunity to hear the vibration of all the voices before me. I definitely want to recognize our editors, Mario, Mamira, Dasha, and Rose for the support in writing and thinking and being in this project. It's a consciousness of love. So I thank all of you. Well, this was a personal reflection, really looking back at my experiences and commitments to being of service. I'm a professor in South Florida. I run a nonprofit called 10 Global, and I was initiated as a Mambo in Société Nago. So it's a lot of hats and a lot of responsibilities. So when thinking about this writing, I went back to when I was a doc student and really began to explore Vodou as a framework. So it was a time where folks questioned what I was doing. And at the end, I was looking at recently arrived Haitian students in Massachusetts and followed them over a 5-year period to document their experiences and integrating in the US system. And what I found was the only way that I could explain this was really through a Vodou lens and using Vodou frameworks to explain the depth of what they had to go through. And for me, my work, my education was an initiation within itself, where Vodou, the ancestors, the Loa were very present. And I used Gede as a framework. And Gede really looked at the process of having multiple, conflicting, contradictory identities and then trying to be whole. And my findings was like these students were doing identity work. And I thought about this and I said, well, what is the crust of our education and how do we understand coming from a marginalized positionality? And the young people in Haiti, they were marginalized. And then I looked myself as a queer person in the Haitian context. It's also a very marginalized community. And so I used the same framework. And I decided to open a nonprofit working with young people. And one of my major projects is working with Caribbean LGBTQ folks plus. And in doing this, one of my first spirits that I worked with was a trans woman. And if we think about it, trans women are the most vulnerable, in the LGBTQ communities, particularly Black Pan-African women. And in that work, she was kicked out of her house, marginalized. And then, I wanted to have a context. So I studied Vodou psychology and Black psychology. So I started merging the two. And one of the fundamental premises is that we have spirit damage, not mental health, spirit damage. So I supported her over a 6-year period. And together, we began to construct this idea of how Vodou could be central in her healing process, using the Loas as archetypes, and also of resistance. And how do we resist? So we were using these fundamental principles throughout to really support her in the work that she was trying to do. And then she graduated, high school, which was we didn't know if it was happening. And then she went to get an advanced degree. And we used the premises. So Black psychology and helped me create a form of Vodou psychology to particularly help the most disenfranchised group. And so I do my work and I do things that I didn't get, so as, queer person, academic, scholar, that piece of me had to be removed a lot of times. So as a rebirth, in this work and the work that I have been doing with this community, I decided that I wanted to go to Boakaima. And I write in the piece, how did that happen? But when I was there was a trans woman. And she was heckled during ceremonies. I just showed up. And the Uga in the community, I said the work that I was trying to do to liberate all of us and to be a symbol of spirit in Vodou healing practices. We had a 2-day, he opened it up, we had a 2-day ceremony. And I explained that a bit. So it was interesting because at some point he said, well, we're going to enact the ceremony and you're going to have to kill the black pig, sacrifice the black pig. So as we went through the process, it was very powerful. You know, it was very powerful being in the space. And then at the end of the day, you know, Spirit took. Danto was there. You know, our ancestors were there. Cecile Fatima was there. And as I came to you know, speak to the black pig and tell the black pig, you know, that this was in the form of resistance and justice. You know, it was the trans woman that came and she helped me. And so I thought that was very symbolic, you know, in terms of my experiences and being what I perceive to be a Vodou therapist, a Vodou psychologist, to be in partnership in the rebirth. As Gede tell us, we must die in order to live. You know, this rebirth and this reconciliation with the land and my people and having this sister, you know, be with me. So in, you know, as I close, I want to say, you know, during this Bwakaima and prepping for the Haitian Revolution, not everyone fought, but those that did take up arms, they fought for the liberation of all people. And we should all stand for all of our people. Aibubu.
Ay, bobo.
Ayi bobo.
All right. So let me get us all together and invite everyone to come back if you're able. And I, you know, for those who are here, those who are left, this is time to, yeah, converse, share ideas, respond, reflect back. Would anyone like to begin? We had, we did have a prompt and we have a Q&A option, and folks can also share things in the chat. I know the chat had been locked earlier, but it's open now. There are questions? Okay. There are thank yous, there are messages. Well, yes, some of this is not relevant. Some of it's please slow down from the interpreters. And I do want to give a shout out to our interpreters, Nadej and Rose, who are holding it down with really no help from me or us. So we really appreciate you hanging with us and making this available. I see Irene Brisson in the chat, who has also been a huge support through Haitian Studies and the conversations that we were having last fall in the conference. We have many Messiampils. We have Matthew Randolph. Thank you for wonderful presentations. I'm a PhD candidate working on Haiti and the DR. How have you all thought about Haitian queer communities' relations with the DR and other islands in the region? Is that what you're working on? Because that's really exciting. We're going to share the mic with Mamira.
I wanted to respond by saying that one of the things we do in the intro is clearly state that this special issue is an invitation for more work to take place, right? So we don't think that what we've done is exhaustive and is the end all and be all of what is to be said about sexuality in Haiti. So I think that that would be great work for us to be able to have you do. But also just thinking about my piece, and one of the things that I do is look at the relationship between Courage and other community organizations in Haiti and other Caribbean formations like J Flag in Jamaica, for example, and these other Caribbean queer networks. So that effort is already underway. It seems that there's also groups in the DR through this other larger sort of research finance institution called Cohen that's actually in DR itself. That connects both sides of the islands in a variety of like workshops and thinking through queerness, you know, in Quisqueya and Haiti in general. So I'm both saying that there's work happening at the activist level, but whether that's being studied, right, the relationship between movements and organizations in Haiti and those in the DR, I would say it's not. So do it, right? And there will be room, I think, in the Journal for Haitian Studies, but also other places where people are going to want to hear about an island scaled analysis of movements or even queer identities. Yeah. Yeah.
Now we can have Josue.
Josue, I'm wondering if you might have something to share about your experiences in the DR or what you might know about Haitian queerness and DR queerness.
Uh, I don't have, well, how can I say? What can I say? I met some Dominican, queer Dominican in DR, and we even had an idea to have an exhibition together, the Queer Island, for instance. And it was from a workshop that I was part of between Asian artists and Dominican artists. And the workshop was around arts and conflict. And it was a way to look at each other as we have préjugés, as we have misconception, the way we look at each other from, you know, each side. It was really helpful. It was like a therapy group to exercises, and that was great. We had a guide, and we would do exercise together. That was personal, but politics as well. And because we tend to have, I mean, Asian looking at Dominican, and what the most of us in Haiti, the relation we have with the Dominican Republic is what we see on the media, on TV, violence, racism, which exist, but it's also important to see what bring us together. And so it was interesting to see how even Dominican how they are victim of racism as well. And because they are Black in their own country, or they are treated as Asian. So it's important for Asian to know this part too, just as it's important for Dominican to know other parts of, like, we have a messed up the way history is written. And it's impossible. So yeah, I don't have a very a big let's say, queer experience or encounters in terms of work in DR, but there are projects. But you know, as the borders, it's really, I mean, for me, it's impossible to go legally to DR. Impossible. I can transit, and even though it's kind of not easy to, but it's impossible. So and it's impossible for Dominican to come to Haiti. I wanted to it's not a question, but I wanted to address this to Charlene Desir. It's nice to meet you. That's the first time I'm meeting you. When I was in DR, and what was interesting for me when I was at that workshop, it was, we were talking about the law. And the thing was, I think for a lot of Haitian, if I'm not mistaken, the conception of the law is limited to the borders. And as if the construction of Dambala, the toy, as if the other side of the island, it's like, yes, Haitian make it live, but as if there is no spirit law memorial. And so it was very interesting to have a conversation on this kind of topic. It's something I never thought about it before. And in my head, it was the border make it like as if the spirit has limit, or this part of the island don't have a culture of voodoo in their own thing. So that's one of the things I don't.
Yeah, I mean, recently I saw there was a voodoo temple that was open in DR, and they did inaugural, and they do have, you know, an indigenous system too there. So, I mean, I don't know in terms of the work around that, but I know, like, you know, of course, for the voodoo community, I mean, that's one of the welcoming places with societal limitations. But, you know, but yes, there is a spiritual system in DR, and I don't know how much they're advocating in terms of sexual expression, as voodoo is so open to it. But you know, it's always limited too, because it's fine in ceremony, but outside, you know, it still becomes problematic. So it's something that we aspire to want that to happen. But there is spiritual life in DR.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Seville. Wait, I don't know if you all can see me or hear me. Can you see me and hear me? Okay, I don't know how
I
close
can.
everybody needs to see me or hear me. Hello. Hi, I'm Gabrielle. It's been such a pleasure. I want to thank everyone for all your contributions and everything. I'll just be brief. One thing I was so struck throughout all of the presentations, but even beginning with the invocation and all the way at the end to Charlene Desir, the role of spirit and spirituality in Haitian studies overall. And I was just thinking about that in the sense that in so many other academic spaces, there isn't a room for prayer, or there isn't a room to actually acknowledge something like a loi, or to recognize spirit or spirituality as a kind of embodied knowledge, or not as the opposite of the intellect or the intellectual. So I guess I was curious for any of you who have contributed, like where, I mean, some of you, it's very direct. I mean, obviously, I feel like I can't wait to read more about spirit damage, for example, or to you know what I mean? I feel like some of you are working directly with those issues, but I'm curious for some of the rest of you who are maybe not as directly talking about it, if issues of spirit or spirituality still feel to you to be a part of your work, because there's something about that related to Haitianness or not necessarily. Here, let me give you the
yeah, specifically because my work is not really about spirits and spirituality or voodoo. So it's interesting to hear your question. Well, to respond directly to that, doing my field work in Haiti, so what I did, I don't know if I mentioned it, I don't remember what I said, but I went to Haiti and ended up spending 11 months and 2 weeks doing field work in northern Haiti. And one of the things that I saw, not only with the people that I ended up interviewing for the work, for the four men who have sex with men, but who identify as all types of labels, is that I don't know if we can call it spirituality, but religiosity, as I call it, was very present. Some of those men, they went to church regularly, and then they were grappling with what it means to be gay at church, right? How much they could share about their own sexuality when they were in the church context. Or, they were also grappling with the idea that, oh, I'm gay, am I, est-ce que me déjouer? Est-ce que moi, je suis quelqu'un qui est déjoué? Dans le sens que, am I kind of like spoiled by the loi? Am I, like, did the loi did something to me? Like, and then doing the interviews, and then I really enjoy doing that. We had a space to really talk about those things. And then so I was asking questions. What do you think? Like, do you think that happened to you? Because, the law were in your family when you were a kid. And then so they were working on those concepts themselves, right? Not knowing what was. So in my work, I try to center religiosity as a part of what I call queer transnational space. A lot of people connect through whether it's former religiosity when they were in Haiti, they used to go to school, to church a lot. Whether when they go back to Haiti as diaspora, so then they go back to church to just say hi to those people that they used to know, to just contribute some money to the church, just to kind of rekindle these relationships that they used to have before Haiti. I do not theorize it as such, so I'm really looking forward to people who theorize that. My work as a migration scholar, I'm really interested in the economic, social, and political aspect of those things, and then how they fit well together with the idea of money transfers, with the idea of transnational identity, transnational mobility, and migration. So that's my main focus, how sexuality shapes that. But yeah, I would say that was something central. I remember to finish, there is one of the people that I interviewed whose main goal, as she was telling me during that interview, was to move out of Haiti and to transition to because she felt, or they felt that they were born in the wrong body, and then the law wanted them to actually be a woman, but then they weren't yet. And then they really thought that through the relationship with the Haitian migrant partner living in the US, they would move to the US, and then the first thing that they would do would be to find money and then transition to fit what the law wanted them to be, right? So yeah, but those are things that I mentioned. I don't really theorize them. I'm happy to theorize them in the future, but yeah, that they happen a lot.
We're just trying a different mic. How does this sound? It's better? Okay.
It is.
Thank you. Am I speaking into it correctly? Thank you for that question, Gabrielle. And I think I was struck by your talking about, is it something about the Haitianness? And I mean, I'm not Haitian. And I think, so on the one hand, the piece that I contribute tells in a little bit of a way the story of the first time I met Spirit on a beach in Haiti. So but from there, for me, it's been a long journey because my people are from Louisiana, right? And I have ancestral obligations that I haven't met, so I keep trying to write my way toward that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to ever pay for other kinds of initiation. So, and I don't just mean financially, but when I wrote Easy's Mirrors, which was not what I was supposed to write for the second book, I was supposed to write something a lot easier, right? one of the things that struck me is that all these creative living people of African descent in the US and the Caribbean were writing about the ACD, and they were not themselves Haitian or Vodun practitioners. And so then I was trying to wrap my head around, like, how is it that the Loi and Spirit have become an archive? And an archive that people can access in all archives have limitations, but archives that people of African descent in diaspora during chattel slavery have purposely put together as spaces that cannot be invaded or controlled, right? And so that then I think like the beauty and importance of centering that archive. I'm telling you, people, like this book almost almost hit me on the head today, right? Like that this is and claiming that. And I also, you know, I'm interested because I'm seeing this more and more. I see it with the Orisha, but also with the Loi, like people in the African diaspora tapping into this archive as a way of knowing and as an alternative and as a site of marinage. And I think, like hearkening back to, hey, you know, where transnational migration studies came from studying Haitian migrant. Like how much of what makes up Black studies, say, actually comes from places like Haiti and Cuba that are not centered enough. And what does it mean to foreground that and claim that? I think is really important. And that it goes kind of without saying here is something that I think other area studies and interdisciplinary fields are tapping into, and it's important, not in like a territorial way, like this is actually Haitian, right? But like that, this is the original Black Lives Matter. This is the original Black radical tradition, and that this is part of it. This is a central, I should stop saying central, but this is a foundational part of it, such that people like myself or just, right, like this becomes our archive too, and we should give credit where credit is due.
Thank you.
Who's next?
No, again.
No.
There was an actual question. About all of those who were not able to enter this particular publication. And if we, you know, we hope that they will enter.
Audio.
Yeah.
They don't hear you, maybe.
Do you need the
the mic.
fluffy mic?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Party mic.
We do see the actual question from Martine Pierre-Louis. Thank you so much. About inquiring about those who did not, you know, make it into this publication for real life reasons. And there's one avenue that we were thinking possibly, in addition to continued open invitation from the Journal of Haitian Studies, so that's always an opening for folks when they're ready. And Claudine Michel reminded me. But Mario, maybe you want to just share one word about the digital platform that could be an opportunity for those who are either working in other media or are writing more experimentally or might have a video that they want to share or an interview. So I'm just going to turn this to Mario, but we do hope that work continues. So that's just an open invitation.
Yes, hi. I received a creative activity award from my university to build an online platform around, you know, it was sort of a very loosey-goosey sort of proposal, but around everything I do for, about Haiti. And it's called Carrefour l'Esprit. It's being built right now with Joshua, who's the designer, artistic person behind it. And honestly, it's going to try to expand on everything I've been doing with the Haitians Sexualities Working Group, but also to figure out other modes that we can, as we said already, as you said, Mamira and Dasha, that we can share the work in multiple languages and multiple media, in any sort of activations and activisms around Haiti, not only, and to think about community M and to think about queer community or community M, not only as sort of sexually queer, but also, in terms of allyship, in terms of coming together. So it's really in the very, very early stages. And once it's activated, we'll launch out like through HSA or through sort of organizations. We'll let you know about the website. But the idea, Dasha said it, Mamira said it, is that this is a work that must be done in collectivity. And I love like the idea of Danto's tongue. Danto, like I always like, and I'm really wrestling with that. Ezili Danto, like her tongue was severed. And I'm still wrestling with that, that mythology, whether it's misogynistic or self-love. The idea is that Danto wants all of us, like the tongue is out there given to us to speak together. So this work, I would say, that we're trying to do is, in some configurations, Aaron, Mamira, Josue, Dasha, and I began it this way. We will support anybody who wants to continue these activations. We'll mentor you. We may not be the physical people doing, continuing this work, but we'll be there to support you, to counsel you, to guide you. And that's the work of collectivity, the onwardness, the continuity of it. So we hope that you pick up the ball and continue on the work. And join the working group. And it's a very fluid, open thing. We think together, we write together, we create together.
I wanted just to add, I think I said this a little bit. My training is, anthropology and social sciencey, and more because of what Haitian Studies is doing and centering or thinking about Vodou as epistemology, Vodou as methodology, that is influencing how I want to write what I'm writing, right? And for it not to be, again, shots fired at the sociologists, that like intro, review method, right? That's very rigid and doesn't leave room for incantations. Like when my fellow editors were like, we're gonna start, I was just like, okay, guys, like let's do it. But it's out of my comfort zone, right? But I think that's what Haitian Studies, at least in the leadership that it's had, right, has like forced us to return and to think about Vodou as theory, right? And that's what we're bringing, right, to the West in so many ways. So that's my little plug, like I'm trying to come out of my little social science box, to the cultural studies people to do something else.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation, yes.
And I really wanted to just add for Matthew Wendorf. I don't know if Matthew Wendorf is still here. There was that question about queer Haitian studies in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and then Caribbean, queer Caribbean studies in general. So there are, and then I think it's important to recognize that as much as what we're doing, what you initiated with the working group is to bring sexuality into Haitian studies, which is incredibly needed. Queer sexuality has also been studied in the context of the Caribbean by other scholars. And it's really important when I'm doing my work, I try to keep those people in mind. I'm thinking about Kemalai Kempadu, for example, who has worked extensively on sexuality issues and gender issues in the Caribbean. So for Matthew Wendorf, that could be, one of the sources to check and then to see what has been done. In one of her books, Sex in the Caribbean, she talks about the idea of sex work in the Dominican Republic, or the idea of the construction of sexuality in general in the Caribbean, how it is at the intersection of colonialism, at the intersection of the global economy, and then the entire idea of sex tourism. So this is somebody to think about. And in the context of the Dominican Republic specifically, there is a very interesting work, it's a little bit dated now, by Mark Padilla, Caribbean pleasure industry. and in which he talks a lot about the construction of queer sexuality in the context of the Dominican Republic, but also in the context of the AIDS epidemic. So it's also something to look at. And then even though I focused my entire work on Northern Haiti, while I was on the field work, I was back and forth between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And I'm writing a paper now on the role of the Dominican Republic as a third space where Haitian transnational migrants meet the Haitian partners when they go back to Haiti, some of them because of the insecurity issues or lack of lack of infrastructures. Some of them, they don't want to go to Haiti. So then they prend rendezvous, right? They just, decide to meet in the Dominican Republic. So I'm theorizing that Republican Republic as a third space in the transnational encounters of queer Haitians. That's something that's going to come at some point. But yeah, it's really important to go back to the Caribbean studies to see what other people have done, because sometimes we feel like we're doing something very new, but a lot of it, some other people have thought about it.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I'm so thankful for what you just said, because it's all about us sharing resources. I would be remiss if I did not lift up the work of my dear friend, Dr. Rosamond S. King. Is that what you're going to do too? Or one of the things, and others. But I feel like what's exciting is that she had her book Island Bodies, and there's a new edition of that book that's in the works where she's invited other scholars from around the Caribbean as well to talk about sort of the advances in the field of queer stuff, just sort of sexuality studies in the Caribbean in the different regions, and to kind of be in conversation with the original work. And so that's in the works right now. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Or if you haven't seen the original book, check that out. And then recently there was a Small Axe Salon. I don't know if you've ever watched those sort of webinars where they have 4 people, and it was about sexuality or language, and they're using keywords. And I loved, I think, originally what Dr. Claudine Michel was saying at the beginning, where you use the language of your own culture and society, and recognize that as a source of knowledge. And so you had someone from the Dutch speaking, the French speaking, and the Spanish speaking Caribbean, and they were using a specific word and then using that word in that language to talk through some of the specific dynamics. And that's recorded online if people are interested in seeing it. So I would just want to share that Small Axe Salon as a resource, keywords, sexuality. And that was just maybe a month or so ago. Dr. Omi.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Gabrielle.
Yeah.
I really appreciate, as a Caribbeanist, right? Like, I really appreciate this conversation. And I also think the importance of, first of all, like, maybe just like for the feed, in case anybody doesn't know before we get off, like, how can you join the working group? You have to be a member of HSA. Like, how can we like amplify that, right? How can we bring this conversation not just to HSA, but to CSA, like, right? Assuming that we can all travel in the United States.
Right.
Or wherever we are, which is a big assumption right now. But also, I think curating a politics of citation, and what does it mean for people of African descent? Like, if y'all don't want to quote me, because I'm not from the Caribbean, I have no problem with that. But I think that, like, folks who are of Caribbean descent and doing queer work, like Carlos de Sena's work on the Dominican Republic, Lyndon Gill, Rosa King, like that there, there's a whole, now, like, when in the old days when I was in grad school, right, like that Liza McAllister was referring to, people who were queer and doing Caribbean stuff were not marking themselves, but we're not in that era anymore. And that there are people working in all the different linguistic groups. And I think a politics of citation where one cites are like people who are working together, I think is really important. My dear friend and other Libra, Jafari Allen, right? Like my husband, Matt Richardson, right? Like there are a lot of queer people of Caribbean descent. And I think that foreground it, because like this is always the periphery, right? When I started grad school, I'm so old. I wanted to do Caribbean literature as a literature, and I was told that in order to have it be a literature, it had to have 100 years of writing, and they didn't think there was 100 years of writing in the Caribbean. And I didn't throw anything, I didn't curse anybody out, right? But the idea that like they write in the Caribbean, they think, wait, they didn't just turn queer, like when some migrants went down and told them that you could do this from France, right? Like that, like centering this in a politics of citation is also part of the convene, right? And so I don't know where that came from. Like I hope that we can continue to have these conversations in a Caribbean context, especially given the political situation right now. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I was gonna go ahead. Should we pass it down? And also, yes, Angelique B. Nixon.
I know.
I know. Look up
I
Angelique.
named Angelique Nixon in the chat.
Now I have the mic. But so in this spirit of citation and collectivity, we had initially planned and still do plan to create a collectively generated syllabus that is online. And it was something actually we talked about as a core part of the working group when we formed in 2020, in the spirit of the Black Lives Matter syllabus, Ferguson syllabus, Puerto Rico syllabus, all these other beautiful projects that were offering sort of short annotations and citations and resources online. We hosted one workshop last fall at the conference where we just touched on and started to share resources with Nathalie Batraville and Marina Magloire, and I hosted that with a beautiful cohort of folks that showed up. So we do hope that will be on the website, or at least figure out how to do the project and then put it on the website, or it's an open source situation. But perhaps at the next conference, we could also gather and think about it, or do another Zoom, or figure out ways. So if people are interested in collectivizing, email us at the Sexualities Working Group. I think we have an email, but also just find me at UCSB and Mamira at UC Irvine and Mario at UIC, University of Illinois, Chicago, and let us know that you're interested, and we will be together in the work. And eventually we'd like to invite others to step into the organizing, and we don't need to be the core anymore. So we can evolve and grow and share. So we will have meetings in the fall. If someone wants to put the HSA conference link, I can do that in a moment. We'll be gathering in Pittsburgh, thinking about repair and restitution. So something I actually forgot to put in my intro notes, but we're in the 250th anniversary. I think most people know this, but 250th anniversary of the signing of the indemnity, which was the Haitian reparations paid to France and the triple debt that is being revisited, and really Haitian folks have been thinking and claiming for restitution, reparations, but how do we think about repair? You know, Ryan mentioned epistemic repair, and these other forms of repair and restitution. So part of this is different kinds of knowledge production and sharing resources. So I know, yeah, we have some dropouts because it's late on the East Coast and we're past time, but I do want to make space if there are other contributors who want to share, respond across the different contributions. We had sort of asked, like, where does your work fit in the larger or future projects or praxis of your own endeavors? Thinking about futures of Haitian studies, or the journal, or what you'd hope and like to see. So maybe we could have some kind of closing visioning moments, or shared responses. Yeah, we could pass a word around. Last words, Sabine, Nadesh, Charlene.
Sorry, what was the invitation again to, like, what are we doing next? Like, what are we?
Yeah, I think you could share a response or a closing that visions outwards from your own work, or just something that you're kind of left with at this point and where you'd like to take it.
I'm sitting with deep gratitude just to be in a space where you also see other Black queer Haitians. You know, we don't be in the same rooms often. So even virtually, to just, name that, like being around other Black queer Haitian creatives and writers and scholars is always it is a blessing. And I know Vanessa would say the same if she was here. I think for both me and Vanessa, as like folks whose work is in public memory and archiving, I think there was a question earlier around like how our spirituality shows up. I think Haitians are so good at respecting those who have gone on, right? That is just like rooted in our culture, is the respect of the dead. And that is the archives, right? And that is historical work. And so I think now more than ever, democratizing information and making that information accessible is the work that we continue to do. Vanessa from a photographic lens, and myself through writing and also as a resource hub on public history in Miami. Certainly the Black queer Miami work continues. This was just the start. The exhibit was the start, but I have continued with oral histories since the exhibit, and more people are just popping up, 70-something-year-old folks who are talking about being Black lesbians behind the segregation wall in Miami, and what it means to have survived Jim Crow as Black queer folks. And so it is building on a body of work that has largely been silenced here because Black, right? So that is the work that continues for me. And I know with Vanessa, it is around documenting the Black South. She's in Mississippi right now, but her work is very much rooted in the humanness and the beauty of us as Black folks. And so that's where the work is going to continue to go. And because that's my homie forever, we will probably be collaborating again on something fun. I'm media agnostic. I'm undisciplined. So, wherever the work takes me, it takes me, whether it is an article in The Atlantic or an exhibit or a podcast, it'll live however it lives.
Hey, Bobo.
There was a special issue on counter archives.
Mamira said she's feeling a special issue on counter archives.
That kept coming up, right? It kept coming up.
Yeah, we put it in there.
Yeah, it's a floating proposal from Laura Wagner and Adassa Saint-Hubert about archives. So, and how we could add her name.
What came out over here, Sabine's work on counter archives. I see it.
Quick note on archives. I was pulled in to save a whole bunch of stuff from Tap Tap Restaurant in Miami that has been closed for a good while. But the building is about to be sold and they're going to demolish it. And there was tons of stuff in the office. And so I might have an archive package for you all, for your holdings, because I have doubles of a few things, including like original tapes from Felix Moiso Leroy, and like just tapes of his poetry that was just sitting in the office. And so just offline, like whoever the point of contact will be, I'm creating like archival packages to exist in different institutions from the stuff I was able to rescue from there a few weeks ago.
I'd like to make a comment. I think from all the conversation, the fact that, HSA is very serious about centering Vodou as epistemology is decentering the work that we do that hasn't been done enough. I mean, I think I got a full tenureship really doing most of my research on Vodou and identity. So I think as we're shifting now, as Haiti is very young, we have a new group of folks coming in that are very queer friendly or allies, and this is not a big thing anymore. I think it's imperative that we begin to do scholarship of folks that have not been heard or have not been represented, particular practitioners of Vodou partnering with this particular group to bring arts, to bring creative work together, and also to think about ways that, you know, we can integrate folks who are practitioners, because they are scholars as well. You know, Mambus and Ugans who have been holding the knowledge, the epistemology of Vodou, you know, and going to, especially, you know, and it's like saying Christianity, there's so many different ways that Vodou is understood and practiced, but centering our epistemology to secure and archive the different epistemologies, you know, within the belief system. So I think that's important that, you know, we begin to be, I know Kosamba does this work, but to be deliberate in Haitian scholarship to really center, you know, who we are and how we think across the country.
Hi, Bobo. Sabine, quelques mots final. How do you say that?
Yeah.
Bon, m'a dit nous toutes merci pour l'invitation. C'était un bel exercice que le t'ayé parce que à un certain moment, m'd'a dit tête, OK, ou li l'espace d'un ciment, mais qui soit café ensemble avec lui, pas gagné qu'on café ensemble avec lui, pas littéraire. Et puis à la fin, parce que avec un pile support nous que moi réussi et faire un bagage ensemble avec lui, c'était une belle expérience. Et expérience a ouvert pour moi tout un champ de travail qui permet de comprendre que nous avons une bonne façon que nous capables de faire science dans un contexte côté que toute la journée a détruit, nous pas un pile bagay qui a prêté, mais à chaque fois qu'on monique un bagay, comment est-ce que nous capables d'utiliser nous-mêmes pour nous quitter trace de qui ça nous y est, parce que Haïtien a perdu trace yo. Qui gens pour nous, quel que soit ça qui fait là, qui gens nous capables d'utiliser pour nous kembe trace nous, pour nous dire bon oui, nous t'ai existé, ça a été fait. Et si il y a réparation qui pour faire pour réparation est fait, et si il y a pour nous aller de l'avant avec ça que t'es fait, pour nous aller tout. Je pense que, mais il y a un élément, je pense que Haitian Studies capable de réfléchir avec les, particulièrement journal là pour que j'aime gagner un spécial numéro sur ça que les féministes haïtiens. Je pense que tout c'est un moment tout pour journal là t'as pensé avec ça, parce que je pense que, bon, c'est Haitian Studies qui gagne pour faire ça. Merci.
What was said, if you
Wait.
or is it if you
No, this one.
This one. Oh, wrong one.
Do it.
To do it. Ma repon nou Sabine pou mdi ou, si, kan kouta lè a mdi nou ta fon numéro spécial sou kesyon kont archive lan, don mpense tou, jon lanse apel la pou numéro spécial sou féministe haïtien, mpense se ou menm ki pou pran kon nan, inisiativ la, ouais. Si nou balide a, nou pou fel. Except I'm not doing the kind of, okay.
Mamira dealt the card to Sabine.
Do you want to say anything? All right. Any other? Yeah, is Josue still here? I think, yeah. I'm gonna pass to Claudine Michel.
She could be like, just a word or two.
Anybody else?
Does anybody else? All right. I think we've all said our pieces.
Well, I want to thank everybody again. All the past leadership of the Haitian Studies Association, the current leadership, April Mays, Regine Jackson, Irene, Brisson, they've been really central to this project. So, and I know they were here earlier. Dasha, who's our secretary, and Omi, thank you so much. We had no home. That's something that's been shared with the association, and now we have the best home possible with the Department of Black Studies, and this means a lot. You have expressed how you really want to, grow Haitian studies, and we have a 35-year history of Haitian studies at UC Santa Barbara, so this is our home. And with technology now, we don't have to necessarily have the Haitian population with us here because they are there with us. And we thank all the contributors because there's no journal without you. We thank all of the reviewers and Rose, you've been just a blessing for the journal and for Haiti, really, the contribution that you're making. And the last thing that I would say when Mamira said, doing things, we are, knowledge seekers. And it's about really justice seeking in terms of the knowledge that we, want to find out about, what we want to incorporate in terms of our own positionality and our own epistemologies and experiences. But it's also about justice making, about opening doors so others can join, new scholars, our students. And we would like to really resume the Haitian Studies Initiative that have been so central at UCSB, and having students working with us, and having, hopefully the country will reopen soon, and taking students to Haiti again, and all kinds of things. So we're really, really grateful to all of you for being part of our Haitian Laku and our journal, and really special thank you to Dasha for making this possible. Thank you so much to everyone. Aye, Bobo.
Hey, Bobo. So thank you all for being here, 3 hours together. This was amazing, and there'll be events tomorrow. You got to hear a little bit from Gabrielle Civil, and then Justice Jamal Jones will also be sharing. So onwards, courage, and much love. Aye, Bobo.